Welcome to this week's episode of the ITPN Report. I'm Adam Coon. Today we'll hear from all 8 drivers in the iRacing InThePitsNews Truck Series Chase, plus NASCAR news from Nashville Super Speedway, SRX emotions overflowing in South Boston, and IMSA racing from Watkins Glen for the saline 6-hour race. Welcome to the ITPN Report, where I'm joined by 4 of the chasers for this season's InThePitsNews Truck Series playoffs with Cameron Caldwell, Alonso Chocano, Carl Felver, and Michael Krueger.
And I'm Josh Coppernoll.
Cameron, you're the defending series champion, but you have yet to win on an over this season. We've kind of talked about this after your win at Charlotte Rover a couple weekends ago. 4 races left, and they're all on overs, of course. What's it going to take to win on an over yet again this year?
It's definitely going to be tough, I think. Compared to last season, the competition is a lot higher, and there's a lot more guys who can win week in and week out. Obviously, all the chasers are in contention every week pretty much to win. So you got to beat all of them first of all, and then if you can stay ahead of the other 7, you'll have a good shot of winning the race more than likely. So it's kind of just take one race at a time and hope to finish pretty good. And I don't know what's going to take the win, honestly. I think it's just going to depend on how the races go. I got obviously stay out of trouble. I have some strong tracks here for sure, and others I'm not as strong at, or I may be okay at, but I know others are better than me at. So I think, I don't know, it's going to be tough, but it's going to be very competitive, I think, between the 8 of us.
Carl, you've been real dominant in showing a lot of speed on short tracks. So the chase goes to 3 different short tracks. How do you feel like this is going to play into your favor to really get to a head start going into the chase?
Like Cameron kind of hit on, it's going to be tough to stay ahead of the field. I think it helps us a lot that there's been a lot of short tracks when it ran really well on short tracks, but Bristol is, to me, not like any of the other short tracks, so it's kind of a wild card. I'm not really the greatest at Phoenix, so I think the only bright spot as far as starting the chase out here is going to be Martinsville. I think we'll be pretty good at Martinsville, so even though we've been really strong so far throughout the season on the short tracks, hopefully we can continue that and keep the momentum up, but the short tracks to start off here are not the same as some of the ones we've ran so far this season, in my opinion. So I guess we'll see how it goes.
I would like to add on to that. I think I completely agree with what Carl said. We go to Bristol this weekend, and it is not a race anything like the short tracks we went to, like Richmond and Iowa and the others. So because it's got the big banks. So I think those who are really good at the short tracks that we've been to, I think this will be good. But I think that it may be more of a level playing field, because I feel like there are some guys that just dominate at the flatter tracks. So when we get to Phoenix and Martinsville, then you might see those guys back up towards the front the whole time. But Bristol, I think, is a different animal. And obviously we've seen, last season, staying out of trouble was huge because there are a lot of bigger wrecks at Bristol. So I think that will play into it for sure. But I think we might be in for a little bit of a surprise at Bristol, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
So, Alonso, you've been obviously the most consistent driver this season, winning the regular season championship and consistently scoring points. What's it going to take to continue winning stages, especially at, these guys mentioned, different types of tracks coming up?
Yeah, it's like you said, we've been really good at that consistency, but it is going to take, I think, maybe winning at least 2 of these next 4 races. Hearing that these guys aren't really the most confident going into Bristol makes me feel a little bit good, because I do feel pretty confident going into Bristol. Obviously, it is going to take staying clean, because it can be a pretty treacherous track, and there's not a lot of space to avoid wrecks. But I feel pretty good going into Bristol, and feel like we can stay consistent like we have been for Phoenix and Martinsville, and Kansas is always a really fun track that I enjoy racing at, and I think it's another one of those tracks that I will go in feeling like I'm gonna be one of the guys to beat. So just continuing to be consistent, but also taking that next step and getting at least 2 wins. I feel like is what it's gonna take.
Well, Krueger, you've had a lot of consistency this season. You've won 2 races at 2 completely different types of tracks. Of course, Super Speedway kicked things off earlier in the season at Daytona, and then a little bit later on at Dover. So, we see a track a lot like Dover as far as being a concrete surface in Bristol, and then of course a couple of short tracks thrown in there by Kansas. So. Going into the chase here, what do you think is going to be key to being consistent and possibly backing up your previous concrete win with another win on concrete?
It's just gonna come down to just keeping ahead of the guys that I'll be racing with in the points, especially in the stage. Like it just coming into Bristol here, it's just gonna be obviously like what Carl mentioned earlier. This does feel a little bit like a wild card since we haven't really raced at this kind of mile and a half or not mile short track all season, and I feel like just in this league, I feel like we're a bit due for a possible bit of a chaotic cluster of a race potentially. Since we've had some clean races the past few weeks at IRP and Dega when we expected them to be caution fest or just wreck fest, but that hasn't really been the case. We might possibly be due for some possible calamity at Bristol because of just the high speeds and how we could have how one person could have a minor slip up and it could cause a big chain reaction of events. Just what it'll take to just come out Bristol in a positive way would be to point yourself ahead in stage points and grab stage points, and to obviously get a good finish and keep the truck clean until the end. I just think it'll just come down to being clean and just beating your competitors for stage points.
So this is a pretty much a question for everybody. What do you feel like your most optimistic track is for the 4 races we have remaining?
I'll go first. I'll say Kansas just because it's a mile and a half. We haven't raced one since Homestead, I believe. So I'm kind of looking forward to that one. Just how you can run almost anywhere at Kansas in the trucks, really. Even though the high side is a little dominant with it having a little more banking. But still, it looks like you could run around almost anywhere at Kansas. I'm looking forward to Kansas the most, I would say.
I'd say for me, I'm looking forward to most of the tracks. Bristol, kind of like what you were saying earlier, Adam. I don't think, or I'm not sure who it was, but I think I have the least amount of confidence at Bristol. Basically because I just don't feel comfortable running the top there. But the other tracks I feel pretty good about. Historically, I've done really good at Phoenix in official races. And Martinsville, I always feel really good at. Kansas, I think I'm definitely looking forward to, as based off what Krueger said, you can run, everywhere on the track pretty much. But we've done a lot of races there for like fun races and say like recruitment races and whatnot for the league, and it's always been a big battle at the front for, just for the win and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to racing that one, but I think Phoenix is probably the one I'm most looking forward to in terms of like having a chance to win.
Yeah, just like I said earlier, hearing that someone is not confident going into a race makes me a little bit more confident. So, just makes me want to look forward to Bristol just a little bit more after what Cam said. But I feel like everyone is gonna love Kansas as well. It's a really fun track. It's gonna be really competitive with the multi lanes, and it's really gonna be down to, I feel like, who takes care of the truck best at that point, and we'll have a little bit clearer of a picture of who are the favorites going into that race, uh, since it's the last race of the year. So uh, it's gonna be fun. I've always liked Phoenix, but not really used to the new configuration just yet. But either way, look forward to every single track. It's gonna be a really fun time.
I agree with what Alonso said. I think all these tracks are going to be a lot of fun. As far as the track I'm looking forward to the most, I would probably have to say Martinsville. The hard braking required to get into those corners, I think is somewhere I can kind of excel. As far as the track I'm most looking forward to, I would have to go Martinsville. I'm looking forward to Bristol this weekend, not so much because I think I can necessarily win, but Bristol's just a lot of fun to drive. I think it'll be really interesting. I think it was Cam mentioned earlier that last season there was it's a little bit hard to survive, which typically is Bristolish. So I think that adds to some of the excitement, especially kicking off the the chase. I think maybe some people might get a little over antsy and get themselves in some predicaments they may not have wanted to put themselves in. And then Kansas, like Michael said, with all the lanes you can run, that track can be a lot of fun. And Phoenix as well, with the way it's ran the last couple times in officials. There's multiple lanes you can run there as well, especially in I guess it's 1 and 2 now. So I think all the tracks will be fun, but Martinsville would be the one I would circle as far as my favorite for the playoffs.
Who do you guys feel is your strongest competitor?
I would say, judging off of the tracks that are in the chase and going off of like the previous results of the races in the regular season, I think Carl is definitely up there. Like we mentioned earlier, Bristol race is a lot different than the other short tracks, but still a short track, And then we go to Martinsville, which is a flat track, and he's been good at the flat tracks. And then Phoenix, while it's kind of race like a short track, it's pretty fast, but it's also flat. So I think Carl will be good there. So I think Carl will probably be the one to look out for. And obviously, he has 3 wins on the season, which is the most for anyone this season. So I think he's definitely the one to look out for. It definitely helps that he was lower in the points, so he didn't get more bonus points, because otherwise he might have ran away with it a little bit. But it's pretty even up top, so I think it's we got a better chance, obviously, than we would have if he were higher in the points.
I think I would go with probably Alonso. I think it's for similar reasons as Cam. Alonso's been pretty close to me on some of the short tracks. I know Jason dominated Richmond, and I kind of snuck away with that win, but Alonso and I were pretty even for second most of that race. Nashville, I don't even really remember how that race went. I know me and Zach Probst ran a lot, but I think Alonso was third and catching us for part of that race. And then all of stage 2 at IRP, Alonso was right behind me. So for all the reasons Cam kind of stated as far as the short tracks and the flat tracks, I would say Alonso, but Alonso may even have a leg up on me because I seem to struggle at tire saving at the larger tracks, and I'm not sure how I'll be able to do with that tire saving. Even though Phoenix is flat, it does carry that increased speed, and then all of the mile and a halves and larger tracks, I've not really run up front. I've run around 8th to 10th, so Alonso's been able to run up front there. So I think Alonso's probably the person I'm watching the most, but I think there's at least 5 or 6 that could go out and win, two of the 4 races, and all 8 of us are going to compete, and it's going to be really interesting to watch.
For me, I mean, it's really hard to just pick one without feeling like I'm disrespecting one of these other drivers. But Carl and Cam have put up a really solid fight all season. Obviously, Carl's been winning a lot recently, but you really can't underestimate Krueger as well. I mean, I kind of underestimated him the whole first half of the season, and he was kicking everyone's ass throughout that whole time. So can't count him out either. If I had to pick just one, pretty much because of how the schedule is set, I'm gonna have to agree with the the last two drivers that being good at short tracks does help, and from what we've seen in the season, Carla's done really, really well on these short tracks, but at the same time, I feel like Cam is going to do really, really well at Phoenix, and he's going to be competitive at Kansas, and he's good at he's fairly good at tire management as well, so he's definitely going to be one of the guys to beat at Kansas, and um, I don't know, it's really hard for me to pick just one. So everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. So my answer's in there somewhere.
Just a little bit off Alonso's answer. I mean, I don't think you can single out one person to really say is like the main person to watch because I think Carl he's obviously got strengths for the short tracks this season with the races he's won, how good he's been there, how three of the chase races we have two pretty much half-mile tracks, Bristol, Martinsville, and then we have the 1 mile at Phoenix, mile and a half, whatever it is, at which Carl's thrived at. The flatter tracks, I think Carl's obviously one to watch. Obviously, Alonso also is one to watch. He's been hanging up there real close with Felver, right on the short tracks this year, I believe, as well. Especially on the mile and a halves. I feel like for Alonso, like he won his only win so far this season was at Chicagoland, and it being a mile and a half, and with Kansas being the last race in the playoffs, I would say Alonso could easily be a threat to watch out for at Kansas, and he also shouldn't have his short track abilities slept on at all because he's always up there at the front from what it looks like on the short tracks, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if he were well in front at all, and especially Phoenix as well. And lastly, I don't think you can sleep on Cam, especially given how looking forward he is to Phoenix. I think he obviously has this prowess for short track racing as well, and is obviously up there with Alonso and Carl. Also, he's also one to look out for at Kansas because he just runs. What he mentioned earlier is he knows how to save well tires on the longer runs on a mile and a half. So I think he's one to look out for as well. Just for my answer, I just think all three are really just ones to watch out for because I mean they're all really talented individuals, and pretty much all three of them respectively can win this title. And I think they all have an equal chance, and I don't think I can really put a favorite over any of them.
And something I want to add on to this. Obviously, we've covered us four in here, but there's also the other four that are not being interviewed at this time. But I'm just looking at the stats right now. So obviously, Khirfan has 2 wins on the season, both at Charlotte and Michigan. He's obviously been towards the front pretty much all season, so I don't think you can quite count him out because he's been able to kind of steal a win here and there. So you get a win, you're going to be in pretty good shape. Then you look at Justin, who at the flat tracks of Iowa and Richmond and the fairgrounds, he's finished top 5 in 2 of them. Or actually, kind of RP as well, and top 10 all of them. So I think he's going to be pretty good at those flat tracks. And then Dalton Kelley, as we know, he went on a pretty good top 5 run or streak for a while. He has 7 of them this season, it looks like. So I don't think you can count him out because he's been very consistent. And then Zach, obviously, we know he's been quick in qualifying. He just hasn't had that race pace yet, but I feel like at some point that's going to pay off for him. So I think, as Michael said, you can't count anyone out just yet. We have to wait till probably get to Kansas before we know really who has a shot at winning and then who may not. But I think everyone will have some sort of strength at some point compared to others, and we'll just kind of be maximizing that and minimizing your downsides.
I would say, especially more so for us four than the other four, that probably our own worst enemies are going to be just ourselves, because you know all of us have been just really so consistent this whole season. And you can even throw Alex in there as well. That I feel like if one mistake, like one bad race from any of us, is could really be the deciding factor for our chances.
That's exactly where I was going to go, Alonso. Just kind of add to that. Not only could it ruin our individual shots at the championship, but Bristol stuff happens really fast, and if we're running up front together, one mistake by one of us could take out two or three of us, and it could bust it wide open for anybody really. So I think it's going to be really interesting, and it's going to be exciting right down to the end because everybody's in it, and one bad race with only 4 races in the chase can pretty much derail your hopes. So
Yeah, just kind of build off a little what Carl said. I mean, yeah, like pretty much one bad race you really have, or just average race where you're just not up there could kind of hurt your chances. I mean, yeah, I mean, we could definitely, like, just us individually could be our own enemies because we're all, like, focusing on our own competitors. Like, one of us could be focused on the other 7 that we're racing against trying to beat, and we just at one point when we're just thinking about it, we make a mistake and just derail our title hopes just by ourselves just because we're just trying to push ourselves so hard. But, like, that's the thing is we're pushing ourselves as hard as we can because this is the final 4 races of the season, and we've built up all of our pretty much ourselves up to our positions we're at right now, coming into the last 4 races, and we're trying to push ourselves as hard as possible. And we sometimes, I feel like, we could easily just overstep the boundaries or the limits and just make mistakes and possibly cost ourselves. And yeah.
So with the fact that you guys kind of have a little bit of a separation on the next 4 guys in the point standings with the bonuses and all, does it feel like you're racing just each other, you 4, when it comes down to it? Obviously, it all changes at what happens at Bristol, but going into this weekend?
I think it definitely feels like that for us. I think for me personally, the past few weeks especially, I've always been focusing on beating the other 3 in here if I can. I don't really think about the others too much, but they are definitely there, I think. Obviously, we do have a little bit of an advantage over them in points, but like the others were just saying, one mistake brings them all right back up here. So I definitely think that I don't know about the other 3 here, but I have definitely had that mindset where I'm just racing these 3. But we just can't forget about those other 4 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I mean, I would say out of all the other 4, I mentioned earlier. I mean, Alex has multiple wins in the season, and I think you definitely can't count him out. I feel like he could go on a kind of, you could call it a hot streak, and make up the points necessary to catch all of us and be right into contention heading into Kansas. It's definitely nice having that little bit of a gap to them, but I mean, they're in the playoffs for a reason. So really can never count anyone out. In this top 8, any one of us could go into a race and just put everything together perfectly and come out with a win, and all of a sudden, you're turning these points upside down. So never know what can happen. Everyone just has the skills to come out on top on any given week, is what I feel like.
Yeah, I didn't run this league very much last season, and I've not done very much fixed racing at all. So pretty much all season, Cam and Alonso, based off of last season, were kind of who I was trying to use to judge myself. And then I would say somewhere around Nashville, I started throwing Michael and Alex into that group after running enough to know that those were the kind of your front runners every week. So I knew if I was able to run practice laps with those guys pre-race or even in a midweek practice session, my confidence went up a little bit for the week. So to answer your question, yes, I would say if I had to pick a champion, I think it would come out of this four. But I agree that one bad race from any of us and it can open it up wide open for the other four. So it's gonna take 4 consistent finishes and run up front all race and keep your truck clean 4 times. So
I would say that about midway, like on the second half of on the midway point of the season, I was kind of trying to estimate to just try and beat kind of Alonso and Cam at the first point, but when Carl started running more races, now it's kind of edged to beat him because he's been well, like just through the mid to late point of the regular season, he's been running up front more, has been winning races. So I'd say like these three have typically been the guys I've been trying to want to beat. Even like also the Alonso and Cam and Carl also mentioned also Khirfan and Justin Durand also. Those guys from Radius/Vortex. I've also been kind of trying to want to beat those guys also since they've been run up front consistently most of the way through the season. So I would just say that, just to answer it, I would say that it was just pretty much Alonso, Cam, and Carl have been like the 3 guys I've been trying to race around or if not try to beat most of this or whenever I can, and also Khirfan and some of the other playoff guys like Probst, Dalton, and Khirfan and Justin.
Yeah, I'm
Not
just hoping I don't get wrecked by a teammate this year again.
Ooh.
oh,
Ooh.
I'll make
Good
sure
thing I don't
Justin
have
and
a
David
team.
let you know.
I hope the season or I don't know really. I guess just coming into Bristol, just hope to survive and just have a clean finish, obviously, and have the worst case scenario not to be involved in any wrecks or anything like that. Just have a clean race and get stage points because I feel like this year I've struggled a bit getting stage points. So it's probably the most important, especially like there's more pressure. It feels like because we got beat the other playoff contenders. So just the stakes feel high now, and we have to answer with pressure mounted on us.
I think Bristol's going to be critical to remember the old iRacing adage: you can't win it on lap 1, but you can sure lose it. So
Oh yeah,
just try and run solid at Bristol and don't take yourself out of it. It's going to be the big thing.
oh yeah.
I do agree with Michael though, and something I wanted to bring up with that last question is Zach, who is 8th or last in the playoff standings or chase standings, is only 18 points behind me, who's leading. So that can be made up easily in one race if the circumstances allow for that. Stage points are going to be huge, I think, because we're all so close. So winning a stage or getting second or third could be like the factor that puts you ahead of the competition, I think.
Yeah, I think whoever wins the championship is going to run top 5 in all 4 races and probably top 5 in at least 3 of the 4 stages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that stage points are definitely going to be very important. And just running top 5 or around in that area is going to be very important. It'll be hard, no doubt, but that's what will be need to be done to win this thing.
And with everyone so close, there's no room for a like okay race. You know, you have to have a good race every single week from here on out. Like we don't have a Kyle Larson situation from last year where he was like a race ahead of everyone with playoff points. But you know, I have a lead of 1 over Carl and then 2 of Alonso. So that will be big, I think. Not necessarily my lead, but just how close it is. I'm hoping having those extra points will mean something. You know, if I win the championship off of having 1 or 2 points, you know, that comes from winning a couple of stages. So, just having those points in the bank will help for sure. But again, you can't have a bad race. You can't really have an okay race. You just need to be finishing top 5, like Carl said, every race to have a shot at it.
If it comes down to just 1 point between me and Cam, I think you can't help but to look back to the stage finish in Talladega and how close it was. So that'll be interesting to see if that plays into effect.
Because that was a 2-point swing. Because it went from me having a 2-point advantage over Carl and 3 over you to having a 1-point advantage. You know, so I definitely think that would come into play for sure if it came down to it. But now, obviously, the chase points that come with winning the stage don't matter anymore. It's just points, you know. But still, winning that stage, getting those extra 6 points will be beneficial. No, it's not even to mention all the bonus points you get for like leading laps and having the fastest lap and winning the pole and leading the most laps and all that. So
You get a point for winning the pole?
Mm-hmm.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Probst.
So yeah, Probst got in from winning poles.
Dude,
Because remember, he was tied.
Yeah, he won like 3 or 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
if he didn't win like half those, he'd be 1 point out. I didn't realize that a pole count for a point. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I screwed up my lap at Nashville.
I
I was
was
still second to him by like 0.0 something.
Yeah. So
Kind of like Alonso said though, if it goes down to 1 or 2 points between me and you, Cam, I'm gonna look back to the Roval stage finish because I know you were catching me, and I wanted to short pit the stage to start first, but looking back, that might not have been the smartest idea. So
well, going off of what you said in your interview, like you felt like as long as you stay in front of me, you were not going to be able to pass me. I was definitely being nice with you, but
you could have moved me.
I absolutely could have, and if it came
yeah.
down to it, I would have. But
Yeah,
it was far too early in the race to do that.
Yeah, the
And
last
so it's like if we get down to like 2 or 3 to go, then I might start, letting you know I'm there. But like I'm not going to do that for a stage one. But obviously, we see now that it would have mattered a lot. But like I would agree with you. I don't think I would have been able to get around you because I felt like you were just faster in the right spots to be able to stay in front of me.
I was really focusing on my exits. So
Mm-hmm.
But
I felt like I could definitely tell that I had the advantage under braking though. I saw you get loose a few times, especially into that backstretch chicane.
yeah, the one time I forgot to adjust my brake bias and thought I was going straight through it.
Hmm. Yeah, there was a time, or kind of like halfway through that first stage. Maybe not halfway, but somewhere around there where I blew the front stretch chicane, and I just didn't adapt to the tire wear yet. So
yeah, that's how I got around you.
Yeah, at that point, that's when I started being like, okay, I need to back it off a little bit. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, those points will matter a lot. And then something else we go back to really far back in the season is me passing Alonso for the stage one at Charlotte. That could be something else too.
I was trash at Charlotte.
I
was good in the first stage, and then as it cooled down, I fell off a little bit.
I felt like I had the long run pace, but I never really got to show it in the first stage. But like in the second stage, I felt like I was making ground up, and then I just ended up hooking or being part of the Probst Elias incident. My right night was pretty much derailed, unfortunately.
If I'm remembering the race correctly, I'm pretty sure I think I had a really good shot at winning it. I think I just ran out of time to try
Yeah,
to.
you pit way too long.
I think
you waited to pit way too long.
didn't Khirfan almost to have it lost there when Brett slowed him down for a moment there?
Yeah, and something else, kind of going off of Khirfan, because he won Michigan. That was a race I felt like I could have won, and had things played out right, which I don't want to say they should have, but before we had those few cautions at the end, him, me, and Lester were racing for the win, and I felt like I was the best of those three. And then the cautions came out, and I made some bad decisions on the shoes, but that was one I felt like got away. And if I had won that one, that would be an extra 5 points in my bank. So that could have been big too. So I guess overall, a lot of things went differently than they could have for I think all of us, and now that puts us all almost even. So it's gonna be exciting, I think.
Yeah, you got to take all that what happened with a grain of salt. I mean, at the end of the day, we are where we are, and these are the cards we're dealt. We just got to race now and see where we go from here.
100% agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely crazy that we all look back and we all, from this season, just think about all the things that happened that we made a mistake on or something didn't go our way that we thought could have had a big swing to where the points are now, but we're at our place where we're at. It's just kind of crazy.
I mean, even Saturday night, I think if I held the bottom, I think I had a good shot at winning that one. So there's probably a race each one of us feels like we could have won if we done.
Oh yeah,
It's different.
I definitely feel like if I would have gotten a better push up top and that run had dissipated, because I was up there, want to go. Then I was in that third lane up there, pretty much tied with the other two. So I came into that last lap thinking, okay, I might have a chance to win this, and then 3/4 of a lap later, and I was just stuck in the middle of the pack, just pretty much
Boxed in.
Yeah, just looking for a run to go somewhere, and yeah, things happen fast in Talladega, especially in the last lap. So,
And I think just how that race was going, coming out of 4, was like it was setting itself up for a lot of stuff to go down, because you have David leading, who's at the tail end of the top 14 points. He gets that win, he's in. He steals that spot from Brett and Zach. And then obviously he gets turned. But before that, you have Brett back there, like, just needing a few more points to beat Zach. And we did not know the point situation at all. So we didn't know where he was. I think we all expected that he would beat Zach in points by a lot, because obviously Zach wasn't there. And then you have Dalton making it with the top 5, even though he was outside the pack, I think, before we all wrecked. And he finished top 5. That definitely obviously boosted him up. But there's just a lot of stuff there that if one thing went slightly differently, we could be looking at a way different chase field in the bottom 4, I think.
yeah, you basically had the whole field in contention on that last lap. Like most Talladega races on the final few laps, the field isn't that big because most of the people have already wrecked out. But people are waiting so long to get to that final lap, and you had so much energy just building and building that it all was definitely released.
I think
with
there was
that
two
with that
things.
huge wreck.
I think there's 2 things that contributed to that. One, it was the final race of the playoffs. So you had 4 or 5 guys that were just riding around because they knew they had to win, and then you had Brett and Dalton that didn't really need to run great, but they basically needed to not wreck. And then you mix that with the fuel mileage strategy part of it, where you pretty much had to save fuel for 40 or 50 laps or whatever it was throughout the beginning or middle of stage 3 to be able to make it to the end. All that kind of culminated in everybody being extremely energized and everybody wanting to go for the win, which made it a ton of fun. So
I know something that we talked about before it really started to be racy at the end was that we felt like, as in us, like the Radius / Vortex team, we felt like we had to get ourselves set up earlier than everyone else because we knew some guys on the back. I think Carl, you guys were leading or getting up there. I don't remember exactly where you. Yeah, you guys were ahead of us at the end. Yeah. So we decided that we needed to go earlier than we wanted to because, in my experience, as of late at play races, if you're not set up with like, say, 10 to go, you're gonna run out of time to get up there because if it goes green, it's hard to pass because you have all the lines blocked up, you know. And
I
then
think
we did only have the 2 lines for a while, and then once that third lane came up, that definitely opened things up. With
yeah,
Talladega, you know, you
I was gonna
can
say
with Talladega you can make that third lane work, and so that obviously helped out. But if we were out, say like Daytona, that probably would not have happened, or we all would have wrecked. I honestly have no idea how I didn't wreck because I know for me, I was in the middle of that pack completely the whole time for those last 4 laps, and I was all over the place. So I have no idea how I made it to the trial the last lap. But
I was watching it all in my mirror, and I'm surprised we didn't wreck too. I'm just glad it was in my mirror.
yeah,
when Craig got moved up and pushed back, and he was back there with me because I was last in line out of Radius Vortex crew, and I knew he wanted to get back to you, Carl, so bad.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
obviously, I mean, like, I know you guys were working together, obviously, and you could just tell it, like, from by the moves. He was just trying to figure out, like how do I get around this big ass tail of Radius Vortex, and him just first of all coming back there and making that move, or being put in that position, and then afterwards forcing me 3 wide, that really affected the finish quite a bit, and it was really fun because I could, like, without being in your guys' voice chat, like, I could kind of see, like, what his intentions were. Like, it was pretty funny to me, but that was really, like, I feel like the biggest, like, or one of the biggest turning points into how the finish played out was, first of all, him being moved out the way and being pushed back, and then also him trying to fight his way back up to the front and making that third line, which in turn, is what got me pushing the other the other Durand up to the front. Um, that was fun, and I feel like that was, like I said, just pretty much one of the deciding factors and one of the biggest turning points in those last few laps that led to pretty much everything happening.
For
Ye-
just how I thought the race would go, I thought with like 8 to go and Radius Vortex made their move, I took too long to make a decision because I was like still saving fuel, and I didn't go out to like 7 to go and just followed the bottom. And when lap kind of wind down, I was the third car on the bottom coming to the white, and we came out 4, and Reuter got clear and was going to get by Durand, and I tried to jump out, and I made a bad move going 3 wide on the top with no help. But if I stuck behind Reuter, I could have possibly had a hole there and could have gone low, possibly, but still could have gotten wrecked though. But I made it so hard making moves at Dega late in the race, and
It all happens
it,
so fast.
it's so
Mhm.
hard because like just going through 3 and 4. I just at that moment I just thought if I can get Reuter clear and I could get possibly myself clear off of 4, I could have a chance. But I went all the way up to the wall, coming into the trial. I just tossed the race away when Reuter
Yeah, I
just
wasn't gonna push you.
yeah.
Sorry, but I wasn't going to.
No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you
Yeah.
because I saw you. I was like, if I could somehow keep Felver behind me. By the way, I honestly should have wrecked. By the way, because coming out of 4, I was literally trying to slide up the track, and I was not clear, and I just
I know.
barely. I should have died. I honestly should have died, but somehow I don't know how. I just somehow just brushed, like, your bumper literally just brushed my bumper, and somehow I didn't wreck and just went all the way to the wall. And I just
Because that
yeah.
happened, and then I had a massive run on Reuter because he didn't have any help anymore. And I lifted this not kill him, basically. I got him pretty sideways hitting him, and then they all started wrecking on the bottom, and it broke loose from there, but
Yeah, it just happened so fast.
it was a lot of fun. It's what you were saying about Craig, though, Alonso. The funniest part about all that is he got kicked out with, 6 to go or whatever, and he got stuck in like the high line or the middle the whole time. And he finally gets down to the bottom, and it was right when I went up to the middle. And he just comes over the Discord. He's like, "Damn it! I just got down to the bottom to help you."
And he still finished third anyway.
Yeah, 13th to third through the tri-oval was funny. But I finished backwards, true Talladega Nights fashion.
I finished with everyone on top of me.
I finished somehow straight, but completely destroyed.
Yeah, the only thing, well, I did win the stage, but besides that, I also won the high jump competition. So
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, like you did a whole somersault on the front stretch. Enjoyed talking to the Alonso, Cam, and Carl here. Enjoyed it.
Saturday's gonna be interesting. Looking forward to it.
Oh yeah.
And now it's time for this week's InThePitsNews Stop. Friday night, Ryan Preece staked his second career NASCAR Camping World Truck Series victory at the same spot he earned his first. The former modified tour champion took DGR Racing's number 17 Ford F-150 to victory lane for the second straight weekend after Preece led 74 of the 150 laps at Nashville Superspeedway. Preece's win from pole was accompanied by a Stage 2 victory, and for the race win, that he held off Stage 1 victor Zane Smith by half a second to win the Reckley Roofing 200. Carson Hocevar finished in third. Zane Smith takes over the series points lead from John Hunter Nemechek by a 19-point margin. Ben Rhodes manages third place position. Saturday, Justin Argyle won at the Mile Third Concrete Track in Lebanon, Tennessee, continuing the streak of success for junior motorsports in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Argyle's number 7 led 134 of the 188 laps and won all 3 stages, claiming the checkered flag 4.5 seconds ahead of runner-up Trevor Bayne. Bayne, who was driving Joe Gibbs Racing's number 18, went to the back at the start of the final stage for a pit penalty and rallied up all the way to the second position. Pole sitter Riley Herbst finished in third. AJ Allmendinger maintains his point lead over Ty Gibbs in the regular season standings. In the Ally 400 at Nashville on Sunday, Chase Elliott took the checkered flag nearly 7 hours after the drop of the initial green flag. Lightning storms and eventually rain interrupted Sunday's NASCAR Cup Series race twice, and after the series' best efforts to dry the track, the race was managed to be completed just before midnight on the East Coast. After a late race caution for Josh Bilicki's expired engine, Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas opted to pit as race leader Chase Elliott stayed out. Most of the field followed him also. On the ensuing restart with just 4 laps remaining, none of the Gibbs cars were able to slice back through the field, allowing Elliott to close the deal and conquer for his second Cup win on the season. JGO driver Martin Truex Jr. led 82 laps, won both the opening stages but finished 21st after pitting on the lap 293 caution. Pole sitter Denny Hamlin led the most laps of the day at 114 and drove all the way up to 6th place, while Chase Elliott led just 42 of the 300 circuits. Kurt Busch and Ryan Blaney rounded out the top 3 finishers. Elliott now has a 30-point lead over Ross Chastain. The Superstar Racing experience was roughed up in South Boston on Saturday night. First, 20 years of angst finally boiled over on track between Paul Tracy and Helio Castroneves, while the two raced for the lead in the second heat from South Boston, Virginia. Helio spun Tracy out. Tracy was furious after the heat, but continued in the main event. Tony Stewart and Ernie Francis Jr. also didn't see eye to eye prior to the main event, in which Stewart dominated and won for his first SRX win on the season, after just a 10th place finish last weekend. Other shenanigans in the main featured Michael Waltrip being crashed by Ryan Hunter-Reay, and afterwards the two showing displeasure under caution flags. Despite winning, Stewart wasn't pleased with the level of driving the world-class talent put on display for national television last weekend. Co-owner of the series, Stewart mentioned the hard work the crews are going to have to endure this weekend before heading up north to Stafford. Greg Biffle finished in second, while Bobby Labonte stood on the final podium position. Sammy Smith claimed his second career ARCA Menard Series national victory on Saturday from Elko Speedway. Smith, who is set for a NASCAR Xfinity Series debut this weekend himself, led 233 of the 250 laps at the 3/8 mile Minnesota Bull for his second straight victory in the series. However, this time, the Kyle Busch Motorsports driver took the victory from pole position and dominated the Menards 250. Jesse Love was the only other driver to lead the remaining 17 laps Smith failed to post, and Love drove to a second-place finish, while Landon Pemberton in his series debut finished in third. Both drivers hail from Venerini Motorsports. Sunday, Watkins Glen International played host to the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, sailing 6 hours at the Glen. For the overall victory, Ricky Taylor and Felipe Albuquerque saddled the Wayne Taylor Racing Konica Minolta No. 10 Acura Daytona Prototype International around the 3.5-mile course. The duo just barely held off the competing Acura DPI from Myoshank Racing and Chip Ganassi's Cadillac Racing Squad for the win in the Finger Lakes region. After lightning delays impacted the final hour and a half of the race, race control paused the clock with just 35 minutes remaining. Several teams lost track of drive time regulations and were disqualified post-race as a result of the infringements on class requirements. The original winners of Sunday's GTD Pro, the BMW MTRO No. 25 team, and GTD's Winwood Racing No. 57 Mercedes, and 8 other cars were regulated to the back of the finishing order as a result of the drive time calculations. In the end, the race winners by class are as follow. DPI winners was Wayne Taylor Racing's No. 10 Acura with Ricky Taylor and Felipe Albuquerque. LMP2 winners were PR1 Mathiasen Motorsports No. 52 driven by Ben Keating, Mikael Jensen, and Scott Huffaker, while in LMP3, Riley Motorsports' No. 74 team won again, with Gar Robinson, Felipe Fraga, and Kay Van Berlo. Heart of Racing team prevailed with the drive time calculations, as both cars were promoted to the race victory after not crossing the finish line originally there. Ross Gunn and Alex Ramirez are now GTD Pro winners of the 6-hour race in the Heart of Racing No. 23. Meanwhile, Roman DeAngelis, Ian James, and Maxime Martin were declared GTD winners in the No. 27 Heart of Racing entrant. And meanwhile, in Saturday's Tioga Downs Casino 140 at the Glen, Robert Wickens returned to victory lane for the first time in 5 years. With use of hand controls aboard his Hyundai, the Canadian driver, without use of his lower extremities following a 2018 IndyCar Pocono crash, was able to celebrate on the top step of the TCR podium with co-driver Mark Wilkins. After Wickens passed off the Brian Herter Autosport Hyundai to Wilkins in the lead, the Canadian duo head into the homecoming race weekend fresh off the champagne showers. Unfortunately, Dalton wasn't able to join us this week. However, Josh spoke to him during JCTV's extended post-race Talladega coverage Saturday night.
Well, you are in the chase. You are the 6th seed. So now that Talladega is over, you got that not to worry about anymore. So we turn our focus onto the chase. So what is the mindset going in now that, it's no worry about making the chase. You've made it. Now it's going for a championship.
Yeah, it's just looking at the first 3 being essentially short tracks. I've ran good on short tracks. So I think we got a shot. We'll see where we're at after Phoenix and Martinsville.
Tonight, the race was very wild. You did lead a lap very early. I think it was on lap 3 or 4 to collect a bonus point for leading a lap. you dropped to the back, and then it was just kind of a bunch of strategy from there as to where you were at in position. What was the overall race like for you, and did the strategy go really to according to plan?
As far as just surviving, it went great. It turned into a fuel mileage race, which we were able to hit our number on both ends of that, and just survive the last lap wreck since it was pretty calm throughout that, and came with a great top 5 and solid momentum to build into the chase.
All right. Well, is there any shout out you'd like to give? Who gets it done for you to, make it into the chase?
Joseph Strigley, Circle B Diecast, as well as everyone on the team, especially Andrew. He's helping the season get to where I'm at.
Alrighty, well, congrats on making the chase, and see you next week.
Looking forward to it.
That was Dalton Kelley, driver of the number 45.
Welcome back to the ITPN Report, joined by Alexander Khirfan, Justin Durand, and Zach Probst, who also are in the ITPN Truck Series playoffs. So, Alex, starting off with you, where do you think the best place you can threat for the win in the remaining 4 races in the chase is?
Well, I can tell you for one, Bristol coming up is not going to be my strong suit. Been kind of having problems hot lapping there. It's always been my problem, I think, is putting down a good quality lap. But I think the strategy for Bristol, at least, is going to be trying to stay out of the wrecks and keep a pretty clean truck till the end. I'm counting on quite a few wrecks, and maybe that'll advance me up a few positions. But as far as the rest of the races in the playoffs, I think Kansas and Phoenix are going to be my strong tracks.
Yeah, I think my strongest chances will be either Bristol this week or Martinsville in a couple weeks, because I'm really good on short tracks, and that's about my best shot at any win. I was performed well in Nashville and
Oh, you're pretty much great everywhere, dude.
and Richmond. I was playing
So you
on
get
the
the most
tracks.
poles.
Yeah, short tracks are my only real shot.
Yeah, I'm not too big of a fan of the short tracks myself. Definitely going to be hoping for that Kansas race to come as fast as possible.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. But it's like you said with this thing, it's going to be staying out of the wrecks. It's almost similar to a super speedway. You just got to survive because there's just going to be carnage. There's not a lot of real estate. It's going to be a lot of trucks. So a lot of people are going to be aggressive, try to play spoiler.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get any green flag pit stops at this upcoming race at Bristol. If we do, that'll be an oddity in itself.
Hopefully, it's at least a little better than Fairrun, where that race was a disaster.
I didn't get to race that one, I don't think. Yeah, I think that was the one I missed. Too
You didn't
bad.
miss anything. It's okay.
I heard. I seen.
Yeah, that was a wreck fest. Got a feeling Martinsville might be the same. It's, a lot of people might misjudge the braking zone or the person braking in front of them.
What's your perspective been the last few races, Adam, with how the strength of the top 8 is going?
Yeah, the strength of the field's been really strong. We expected a lot of crashes at Talladega, and we really didn't see anything until the last lap. And IOP, we kind of expected the same, and we didn't see a whole bunch of crashes. Rover was kind of crazy, but that's just that track in general, I think. And I don't think Bristol's going to be any clean, though, guys. It's a very tight track, obviously.
Yeah. Kind of surprised myself at the Roval, though. I think P4 was a strong finish for me, considering the top 3 were pretty much untouchable at road courses.
Yeah, I am definitely glad there's no road courses in the chase. That is not my strong suit, as you guys have seen on the broadcast.
You had a little bad luck come your way though.
Glenn, I was so far off the pace, I'm just never good there. I didn't run too bad at the Roval until I basically got abused by Brett twice in the last lap, so...
So Justin, you don't have any DNFs yet in the regular season, or you didn't at all in the regular season. How are you going to continue to try to continue that trend in the playoffs with it being such a variety of racetracks?
It's mostly just staying out of trouble, putting yourself in the right positions around the right people. There's certain guys you can trust and certain guys you can't give a lot of leeway to. If I recall correctly, I think I've only been really wrecked out twice, but kind of just finished. I think that was Daytona and Auto Club, which were 2 of the first 3 races. My truck's been clean just about every race since, so I hope to keep that trend going, especially when we got 2 short tracks coming up here in the playoffs. So, if I got a clean truck in any of those races, I will be surprised.
This episode of the ITPN Report is brought to you by FACES, the National Craniofacial Association. Donate today at faces-cranio.org to adopt a face, donate directly, fundraise yourself, or to gift match. faces-cranio.org to donate today. Thanks again. Now, back to the program. So, Zach, you entered the playoffs with no bonus points. How does that set you up with Bristol, especially it being a short track and, like you mentioned, one of your strong suits?
It's not really going to change my outlook going into the race. Still going to try to go for as many points as possible. Just kind of got to make up some ground, but not really going to worry about it too much. Trying to go in without thinking much about the gap.
Yeah, pretty much my mindset this season has been keeping my head on my neck and not losing my cool. I used to get really hot-headed before, but I've had a lot more fun in this league now that I've learned to take a chill pill.
So going back to the points situation, the top 4 kind of have separated themselves just a little bit over you guys, and they have a lot of wins built up, a lot of bonus points. And when I talked to them yesterday, most of them kind of agreed that they are the favorites and that the championship is going to come from those 4. Not to stir up anything, but what do you guys kind of have to respond to that with?
I could start. I'll just say that the way this league has gone, we know that anything can happen. That's pretty apparent. I see where they're coming from. I don't think they're wrong. I don't think they're right, but you can see it from both ways for sure. I think, though, that their consistency has definitely proved to be their greatest ally this season. But yeah, I think the win can still come from anywhere. I think all of us have a good chance.
Yeah, I can definitely see where they're coming from there. They have been the class of the field that anything can happen in these last 4 races, especially 2 of them being a short track, and then one of them being a intermediate.
Well, going off of what those 2 said, you gotta think Cam, Alonso, Michael, and Carl are probably the favorites. They looks like they have, I think, 9 of the combined 14 wins this season, so they've been the class. They've shown a lot of speed week in and week out, and they've just put themselves in the right spots and came up with a lot of good finishes, including those wins. So, but it is the playoffs, so it is anybody's game. A lot could happen. Like we said, with these couple of tracks, Bristol, Martinsville, all it takes is one misjudgment and you're out of the race.
So what do you guys think, personally for you guys, what has been your most memorable moment so far?
My most memorable moment so far has got to be getting my first dub at Charlotte. Long time coming after getting snubbed last season, after being so close. It stung for a good 2 or 3 days, but it was easy to get over and look forward to the future because I knew the win was coming eventually. I'm definitely a driver that deserves to be in the chase, and I was glad that I was able to prove it this season and make it.
I'd have to say my most memorable moment has been battle with Carl in fairgrounds. Had pretty equal cars most of the race. You just managed to squeak away.
I'd say mine are probably the couple second place finishes. You know, I was second to Alex over Michigan at his home track, so I know that was a good one for him. I know Zach and I got together the last corner there. I think he finished like 6th or 7th. Thankfully, that didn't push him out of the playoffs. And then obviously last week, second place at Talladega. I think it was 13th coming to the trial. Well, and we all saw what happened there. So that was a pretty good, good finish out of that, just to escape all that carnage.
Man, I didn't even think about my win at Michigan. Thanks for bringing that up.
I was gonna say, your home track. You really clarified that in the chat.
It's a close tie though. Still, I still think that first win at Charlotte is pretty high up there. But Michigan, it's tied. One can't be over the other.
Yeah, I was saying coming to the season that Michigan was probably one of the 4 tracks I think that I could have a very good chance to win at, and I mean, you saw that with the second place finish.
Oh yeah, you were giving me a run for my money. I was sweating bullets the last few laps.
I pretty much pushed you past Zach on the going to the white flag. I think
I knew my only chance was going to be sticking on the apron because those trucks just have too much grip on the restarts.
I mean, you got past them on the backstretch on the last lap, and you weren't going to give up that bottom line, so I had no way around you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, though. Thanks for sticking with me.
I had run out of sets of tires there, so I had to stay out. I really didn't have a choice.
Yeah, we figured you did. You held off us 3, Alex, myself, and Cam for a good couple laps there. I knew tires were just not going to be your ally there.
Yeah, you really surprised me how fast your pace was still.
I was just hoping to stick in the top 5 or 10.
You probably would have. I mean, I know I got in you. Just drove it as hard as I could the last corner.
Yeah.
Good times.
I do remember at Daytona, though. I had the pole. I think I got right before the stage, and then you guys probably remember me driving on the apron going 110 miles an hour.
Hey, stage points, baby. At least you got them stage points. Stage points. Playoff points. Playoff points.
I missed the stage points on that one. I got wrecked by Joseph Lester on that one.
Getting the pole is a stage point. I keep saying stage point. Playoff point, right?
No, I don't think so. Zach has 0.
Just a bonus point.
I kind of wish it was a
yeah,
playoff point.
I think we're going to have to revise the rules there, Cam. More points. More points.
Another one would be Charlotte. Finally got top 10 there. It's like Adam, you said, it was like the first top 10 for Durand. You saw how bad luck David was getting last season.
Mm-hmm. Stuck with you two for your first couple races.
The Durand curse. Never forget.
He's had a lot of bad luck this season. He's been wrecked in just about every race. He said he was probably a good 600-700 feet from winning on Talladega last Saturday.
Well, Justin, you're one of 2 of the playoff drivers who qualified for the chase. What's it going to take for you to dethrone Michael for that Rookie of the Year championship?
Oh, you got this, Justin.
I just got to stay consistent these last 4 weeks. You know, he's been very fast all season long. I mean, he won Daytona, then he filled out with his first driver to win 2 races when he's winning Dover. Yeah, he's just a lot of pace. He's very good on these tracks, so I just gotta hopefully outpace him. It's gonna be tough. He's been good all season long.
So yeah, as long as I wind up with most poles, I'm happy. I don't even really need to win the championship or to finish top 5.
I mean, that's gonna be difficult to stage you for the most poles. A 2-pole lead with only 4 races to go. I mean, it's pretty good odds.
Knowing me, it'll find a way to happen.
Just being consistent is what makes me the most happy, knowing that no outside influences affected my race, and I put it all on the track, knowing win or lose, that's all I could have done. That's when I'm satisfied, no matter what, even if I come in 10th or something.
Actually, well, you mentioned outside influences. How are you guys gonna race? Obviously, the non-chasers. There's a bunch of them who really speedy every week. Do you think they're gonna contend this weekend and be a factor in the?
Oh, run them all over. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, you still got to race them respectfully. They're guys wanting to win just as much as you, and yeah, they're gonna race you respectfully if you race them respectfully, and that's all that matters is not letting other people get in your head. Also, Justin, Zach, you guys have anything to add to that?
I really agree with what you said. They still deserve respect even if they're not in the chase. If they have speed, they are right to their spot. They have no need to pull over for us.
Yeah, they might give us a little more leeway than a normal driver, but yeah, they're still going to probably race us about as anybody else. I mean, it's like you said, Alex, they're going to try to get a win, probably get some good momentum going into the next season.
Yeah, that would be big for one of them. Give them a lot of momentum into the next season.
And like we were talking about just before, Zach, you're obviously really dominant at qualifying this season. What's it gonna? Obviously, with a short stage probably at Bristol and only 6 of you guys eligible for stage points, and then non-chasers can get up there and take those away. What's a good qualifying effort really mean at Bristol this weekend?
I think it'll be important. I think there'll be a lot of caution, so not much of a chance to pass outside of wrecks. So if you qualify up front, you might be good for the stage points. Saw that at the fairgrounds, where Carl and I were 1-2 coming to the line on the stage.
Yeah, I've always had better luck being in front of the wreck rather than behind it at Bristol, but you never know. It's going to be quite an interesting race this weekend. A lot of people jockeying for as much room on the track as possible, really tight quarters, maybe not from a spectator view, but when you're in the cockpit of the truck, man, does it feel claustrophobic.
Yeah, I think qualifying's going to be major key this week. It's like we've already seen it's going to be very difficult to pass. The outside line is very defensive. You get such a good run off both corners. So aside from wrecks and somebody burning out their tires, it's going to be pretty tough to get around them on the bottom there. That's probably going to be the main passing lane unless somebody just forgives the outside line to somebody.
Thanks once again for listening to this week's ITPN Report. Saturday, July 2nd, 2:30 p.m. on USA Network, the NASCAR Xfinity Series take on Road America for the Henry 180. Saturday, July 2nd, 4:05 p.m. Eastern on Peacock in the United States has the coverage of the Michelin Pilot Challenge, IMSA racing at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for a 2-hour showdown north of the border. Saturday, July 2nd at 7:45 p.m., JCTV has coverage of the opening round of the ITPN iRacing Truck Series Chase, Bristol Motor Speedway, 7:45 p.m. for pre-race, racing just past 8. Round 3 of the SRX Superstar Racing Experience continues this weekend, a return at Stafford Motor Speedway up in Connecticut, 8 p.m. live on CBS Saturday, July 2nd. The Arca Menard Series West Tour is back in competition at Irwindale Speedway for the Napa Auto 150, Saturday, July 2nd at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 local, live coverage on Flow Racing's app. The Formula One British Grand Prix at Silverstone gets underway Sunday, July 3rd at 10 a.m. with coverage on ESPN. Qualifications are Saturday at 9:55 a.m. ESPN2. Round 8 of the 14 Tour Indy Lights season kicks off at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course 10:30 a.m. Sunday, July 3rd, with live coverage on Peacock. IndyCar celebrates Independence Day at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for the Honda Indy 200 at 12:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. For just the third time, the NASCAR Cup Series hits Road America for the Quick Trip 250 coverage at 3 p.m. on USA Network Sunday, July 3rd.